Okay, Gail Fugit, President and CEO of the Advertising Research Foundation, with my esteemed board member, Andrew Appel, President and CEO of IRI. And all right, so the question is, well, I mean, you're talking about we've been the wanderers, right, through CES. Here we are, end of your day two, which is Groundhog Day, evidently. It's like, where am I again?
No, wanderer. I've been squatting in places, meeting interesting people. But
excellent.
It's actually worked out well.
Good. So what I want to know is, like, kind of tell me your story. You know, I know you worked at Anderson in consulting, right? You know, McKinsey, right? Don't worry, we'll edit that out.
No, I was just going to say, you can do it again since we're not live.
Yeah, no,
I do this all the time. Let me cut this again.
Yeah. Well, you worked at McKinsey, and where did your inspiration between that experience and the opportunity to do this, where did that come from?
So I spent 14 years at McKinsey working with big financial services firms back when CRM and all those things were a big deal. Then I was at a company called Aon for 5 years, where I ran a couple of divisions, had technology reporting to me, was the COO, spent a little time in healthcare around information and data, and then the opportunity was a little serendipitous to get to IRI, actually, which was someone who had worked with me for a lot of years as kind of my chief of staff, chief operating officers. I was CEO of various divisions, became an operating partner at New Mountain. IRI was looking for a CEO. It was in Chicago. I had a passion, frankly, for leading a standalone organization, and didn't know anything about IRI at the time, but through the process of the conversations, became excited about the change that was about to transform in front of us in our company and our industry. So it was kind of a meeting of serendipity, kind of like our meeting in Cannes.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was, it was a fantastic, an opportunity in terms of a great company with a long history of innovation. That it was at a time in its history that was positive, momentum, right? It had a positive amount of great owners who really wanted to invest in the company and drive growth, and me with my kind of McKinsey background and a lot of data and technology backgrounds, had most of the requisite skills they were looking for. They were hoping to get someone who had a little bit of a CPG background, but they liked the services and they liked the technology.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've been especially impressed by is a lot of people that come from other industries into the research industry, because I spent my whole career in the research industry, are frankly pretty judgmental about how slow things are, how maybe arcane or traditional, and I've been really impressed with your willingness and the leadership that you've brought in terms of embracing the possibilities, but bringing them in a particularly constructive way. Where does the inspiration for that come from? How do you?
It was interesting. It was so my playbook, having been a new CEO 4 times, is to go spend 90 days and listen to the organization. And it's a very simple. You just get out. You have. If we have 7,000 employees, you try and meet 5,000, and you ask 3 simple questions. What's working, what's not working, and what should I focus on? And then you kind of amalgamate a view between your employees and your clients on where the world is and in the organization. And my bias when I took the role was to be transformational. I said, this is about, I want to go build something great, right? Build something great, make great products, whatever. And one of the observations that was the first big observation about market research, and I think hopefully came across as positive, was, the amount of information and the amount of expertise in the CPG industry was extraordinary, right? Mm-hmm. It's almost like the founding platform of market research in the economy.
Mm-hmm. That's
so
true.
I'd spent years with financial services, giant banks, Goldman Sachs, very sophisticated organizations, but their legacy of using information to find opportunity didn't exist. And the scale and size, by the way, syndicated data doesn't really exist in any other industry.
Interesting.
So the platform,
I never really thought about it.
yeah, there isn't the equivalent, right? The banks don't provide their sales data to some intermediary that then reports back market share. So you have this platform, and my first observation was it was very backward looking. So I would say things like an engineering version of a news reporter. I can give you 5,000 reasons why sales have changed, but I'm not biased towards how to impact
it forward, right?
And so with my McKinsey background and the legacy of 14 years where everything is about impact.
Yes.
Right, not data-driven, but impact, right? Your entire ecosystem or your DNA is about driving differential impact, helping your clients win. And in a McKinsey stance, it's through growth or cost. I mean, you could boil it down to the income statement. And so those two things came to me. I was like, well, isn't this about using information and data to drive growth? Shouldn't we be forward-leaning as a research? Why is it this profession is... That was my first observation. Why is this a profession that has extraordinary information and is always trying to explain the phenomena of the past as opposed to affect the outcomes of the future?
Right. Was it kind of how you thought going in, or did you get that out of those interviews? Or your listening tour?
No, I got it out. I mean, my incoming bias on IRI was a lot of unconnected solutions. Like a lot of untapped opportunity.
But you definitely have started to connect pieces together.
Yeah.
And then gone out and created partnerships, which I want to talk about in a minute as well.
Yeah, no, it was my ingoing observation through my interviews was around, there was a little bit of a bias towards consultative, right? Which we haven't gone down that road. I don't believe the entire world. It's ironic, given I'm a McKinsey person, I don't actually believe most companies should be consultative, right? It's hard to do, and it's not highly recurring, and it's not highly, growth oriented. There's a reason the consulting firms are good at it. They just raise their price 5% every year. So it was
coming
really
from a former consultant.
Look, and
a reformed consultant.
And everything's bespoke, and it's a people-driven model, and you compete on people, and the way work is done, not the outcomes and the products. And the real world is more product-centric, and really so it was really through the listening tour that we coined growth delivered. So if you took my entire first year and you boiled it down to what did you feel like you accomplished? It was, we had to make sure all the stuff worked. So there was a lot of operational plumbing stuff to make sure the platforms were stable. And B, we coined this concept that we're about using information, people, and data to drive growth. It was that simple. That was another lesson through my prior life.
I like the simplicity.
At Aon was, we had, done a strategy. We hired McKinsey when I became CEO for the first time, and we did a strategy that
I wouldn't have wanted to be your client if I was McKinsey.
I was not the easiest client, but and it was like 57 initiatives.
Yeah.
Under a theme of it was an HR consulting firm, shaping the workplace of the future. A tagline through benefits, talent, and rewards with 57 initiatives. And my observation was a year later, the only thing anybody remembered anywhere in the 100 countries was we are about shaping the workplace of the future. Yeah. And so the big lesson was you can't manage 7,000 people. You have to lead them.
Yes.
And therein lied the simplicity of we're about using information to drive growth. And I'm sure you'll ask about some of the next.
Same experience at General Mills where we were trying to do a change management initiative so that we could have more impact as a research organization inside the company and as an insights group, and it was decentralized and centralized, and it was a little bit of a complicated thing to the presidents, right? And we were working on all the skills, and we had all these, it was like the 57 things, right? But at the middle of it, it always said synthesize, tell a story, take a stand.
Yeah.
So it was like synthesize the data, and so it's very similar to what you're doing. Tell a story, right? So bring it to life on behalf of the consumer, and then take a stand, which is about leadership.
You got it.
I think a lot of times it does just boil down to those like really pillar, leadership deliverables, and it is about the stuff, but you got to deliver it.
Well, and I think it sets a purpose that people, and then the organization naturally shapes around. Now we had initiatives. We said, look, we have to take all our services and make them growth oriented. We have to take our pricing and our trade and all our tools and models and our teams. We took our whole, everybody, like our top 1,000 people through a 3-day role play based programs on how to listen to clients, how to create agendas, how to identify the growth pockets, how to communicate. I mean, it was a big, and even then it takes a generation to change a culture.
Yes, that's been my experience too. So, failure. Have you had any?
Oh, sure. Lots of...
Besides getting lost, floating around?
No, look, we've, tried lots of different things.
And not even necessarily in this role, but just kind of this career arc. I think these are such challenging and disruptive times for people that, I think a lot of people are kind of hesitating to try new things. And so to have a leader like yourself talk about, having encountered adversity and how you handled it is very inspirational.
Oh, well, I'll do the best I mean, look, there are multiple. I'd say if I go back to my McKinsey days, I was asked to lead the integration of 2 major banks by the CEO. And we focused very much on the things we were good at, which is physical integration of the systems. It was billions of dollars of spend, efficiencies, costs, org structures. And we missed the social dynamics of 2 massive professional service organizations. In the case, it's so long ago, and the CEO and I are friends, and we've talked about this. Credit Suisse bought DLJ. It's a $12 billion deal. We were there for a year with, 30 McKinsey people putting it together, and it was a disaster. Like, every single leader on Wall Street used to work for Credit Suisse or DLJ. Tony James from Blackstone. Bob Diamond ran Barclays. Stephen Hester ran HSBC. None of them were, they were all there, and they all... Because we missed the people side.
It's a culture clash.
It was the Credit Suisse guys were highly analytical and the smartest guys in the room, and the DLJ guys were highly relationship and cultural and people oriented. And they killed each other, and we missed it. So we did nothing to harmonize, and it was a disastrous deal. Huge failure for them, and obviously in retrospect, and a learning about. So years later, when I was at Aon and we bought a giant reinsurance, spent $2 billion to buy another services firm, I was like the world's highest paid corporate psychologist. My entire year as CEO was sitting on chairs asking people 3 questions. So this was the lesson.
Well,
I spent no time.
You translated it into going into IRI and listening to people.
Making
a personal connection.
Listening and learning and being and looking for the social dynamics and the DNA of the people. And finding out what makes people tick. And in the integration standpoint, it was always an amusing. You'd go to London, where all the people were, and the first thing you'd ask them is, who's fighting? So you'd ask them to tell me the gossip about the other people. Right? Who out there, and then you'd log it, and you'd know to go meet those people to try and, because you were trying to keep all these people, and they were slotting into, and then, like, the second question was, how's your group doing? And inevitably,
Great.
And then if you felt like it was a good hour, you'd say, and how are you doing, and what's going to get you personally excited? I had 500 of those meetings over 6, in one conference room. IRI, the failures are everywhere because we're trying our best in our own way to do a little bit of like the Amazon, or what Margot said to me yesterday from Google is try a lot of things and just invest behind the ones that work. I don't actually spend any time retroactively thinking about the things that were ideas that didn't work. I think we're more about invest behind the things that do work. And there's a beautiful example of one that we thought was big that just wasn't. So we did a massive credit, the idea of a credit card partner, linking it to our shopper data to see the 360 view of the shopper. And it was huge fanfare. We were like, wow, we can work with retailers. Imagine this. You can see around a store where are the other stuff. You can do a lot of the benchmarking you can't do with our data because retailers won't let us use the data around it. We could link it to consumer insights. So you can see, like, if you're Hormel and you can see chili, what the implication if they Outback Steakhouse, and you can really understand. You can do it to media by linking it. And it just turned out that the data access rights of that particular partner didn't allow us to match at the household level.
Oh, I've had that experience.
And so you're like...
I had a matching where the match was the null set. There was no match.
Well, it was actually a privacy thing.
Direct mail
so you learned that it's just one of the many learnings in the big data business, which is it's all about usage rights.
Yeah.
It's all about what you can do with the information. And so we spent 9 months. Now, the partner is actually, we've got other of the initiatives that have been more successful. And so you're like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Stop
Try
burning
something
calories
else.
on that.
Yeah.
We burned 9 months. It's one of 20 initiatives. The opposite would be something I'm sure you'll get to, which is our on-demand measurement platform. So we started a year ago with one of the main players in the space, and we had been doing work with them for years, providing information, and we came in and said, look, we're going to learn from our friends at ComScore and really put one big idea on the table, which is we'll build a real-time offline to online measurement platform that allows you to measure digital advertising, and we call it Lift. At the time, literally a year ago, it was like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea, with a major top 5 player in the industry. And so we went off, to seeing whether it was a good idea or not. It was literally like a Christmas brainstorm. I know what we'll do. We'll build the industry's leading sales lift measurement platform that doesn't exist.
And call it Lift.
And we'll call it, X Lift, which was the name of the partner.
Yeah, but to your point of just keep it simple.
No, it was, we call it IRI Lift now.
It's powerful.
And at the time, it was just, again, it was one of 20 things.
Yeah.
TV planning, digital planning, optimize this, re-engineer the software. And then as the year has evolved, we learned and evolved to think, wow, that really is the point. One, it is the holy grail of what every person I've met with in the last 2 days is looking for. It's like the industry problem that people have been trying to solve since the industry was formed, which is how do I measure the impact of advertising? You have talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
If you can build a sustainable, accurate sales lift or penetration measurement in real time, you can potentially change how advertising is bought. Do you want to buy views and eyeballs, or do you want to buy outcomes? If the outcomes are better, as measurable as the inputs, maybe you'll start buying on the outcomes. And so we have decided to invest massively behind it. Spent millions of dollars this year, built the platform. We're launching in the next month with our friends at ComScore. Serge saw the demo and said, literally, I'm going to get out of measurement and we're going to use your platform.
Wow. So would you say that was your biggest success in 2015? Looking back, what would you say your biggest success has been?
I think our biggest success is actually the clarity of vision and momentum. So we have, we went from growth delivered. Then we announced our partnership with ComScore and RentTruck 2 years ago, and we entered the media space, and we entered with an insights lens. And then we, last year, and then we said we were going to really invest behind our technology to make it real-time, on-demand, mobile, differentiating. Then last year we reinforced the partnership, and we became very, very clear that we're going to differentiate ourselves based on building relationships with retailers, our technology, and our media, and then our global aspirations in China. And I think the biggest success of the last year was, frankly, that it's now very, very clear, and we're really stable about those, and we're really confident that those 3 pillars under the umbrella of growth and connected together have the right balance of near-term, performance and transformational opportunity. So that to me, and we had a good year, in terms of our growth, in terms of our investments in people. We've been able to continue to invest in training, and yet we're growing the business at a couple, we've gone from low single digits to high single digits in growth in 2 years.
Congratulations.
We've continued to increase our margin at the same time. So and then yet we've spent and invested, lots in, product innovation.
Yeah.
By the way, the other biggest failure I think would be is just, it takes a long time to teach
We're talking about
existing people.
successes.
Oh, it's fun. All right, never mind.
Takes a lot of time to teach people.
Teach people new tricks.
Yes.
The people who've been serving our clients for a long time, as we've moved into these new areas of
You
media
inherited some legacy.
and transformation. I think we launched January of last year 20 new products with a significant amount of training and we've got videos, webcasts, training, sales materials, and I think it takes more than a year to get people comfortable. People are, talk about what they're comfortable with. And so it takes a lot to teach people and in the market research profession in particular, there is a propensity to want to be accurate.
That's true.
There isn't it's like, no, if you're 90% right,
Take a shot.
take a shot.
Yeah.
It is not in the DNA of the profession.
Not typically.
It's like, you are 0.11% off your trend. Help me understand, is it in your projection methodology or is it in your data? It's like, no.
Yeah, I accommodated around that by creating even a metric called ROIE, which was estimated ROI.
Oh, that's good.
They wanted this perfection ROI, but we couldn't wait, right?
No, that's good.
Time's a waste, and the sales guys wanted to know, do I have a sales lift or not? I want to know now. I want to know Thursday. I don't want to wait a year till we
ROIE.
get them 2 years.
Well, I think we're a little past that point now.
It made those finance guys crazy, but I agree with your sense of, we would say, perfection. Perfection is really getting in the way of being able to have an impact.
Well, it's
so
certainly
speed versus accuracy.
No, the inherent nature of the profession is accuracy over speed.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the challenges.
Changing though.
Yeah,
it's gonna have to. I mean, bosses are changing. Look at your organization.
It is. It is one of the challenges I think our industry, not so much our industry of research, but I think our client bases.
Yes.
I think it is the conundrum
Where
of
the
size.
demand is.
How about that?
Yeah.
The bigger the company, the more the challenges to move quickly. And I think we live in an economy that requires speed.
I think that's a good point.
And so one of the biggest challenges of the very most successful organizations of the past 10 years is to move at the speed of the successful organizations of the next 10 years.
That's a great point.
And I think our profession, has a lot to do to support that. You know
Excellent.
what I mean?
I do. So what's your prediction for 2016?
Oh.
Or January, first week of January.
My
What do you think's
prediction.
going to happen?
If I could do that.
A little crystal ball?
If I had there's apparently a $700 million lottery out there. So I predict I will not win it.
Okay.
Serge and I were going to buy tickets together, and then if we won, we were going to go celebrate together. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Not happening?
No. Look, I do think in our economic world, I think we are still in a struggling position. So I think, I do worry a little bit about, the markets are really challenged. China's challenged. At that level, my prediction is I think this is going to be a tough year. I lead my own organization. My goal, I guess, would be to play even, a bigger role in how the industry thinks through the impact of advertising. So, we set out last January, I said to my team that given the assets we have and the skills we have, we got a shot at being in the middle of the biggest change in how people buy things in the last 100 years. But we're not there yet. We're just kind of around the field. We're watching the field. But we have a unique set of capabilities and assets between our data and our people and our systems. And I look a year later and I now say to the team, look, we are in active discussions with every material leader in each subsegment, the biggest advertisers, the biggest publishers, the biggest agencies, all of them
networks.
And the biggest networks about our tools and capabilities and how we can fundamentally have add transformation. So I guess my prediction for us and maybe the industry is that we'll make a big leap forward in trying to move towards new measures of ad effectiveness beyond viewership.
Interesting.
And that, the ComScore and RentTrack team will be successful in starting to lay out some new capabilities around cross-platform, which I know is important to the ARF, and
Absolutely.
the constant conversation in all these forums is what the heck are people, the splintering of the media experience, and how the heck do we figure out what people are doing. And our world's, of course, very focused on what the impact of that is, and how all that splintering drives actual economic impact. I don't know if that's a prediction. More of an advertising.
Well, and if you win the lottery, you're going to double down, right?
Yeah, or go spend
You're
a couple weeks on the beach.
Yeah, I get it. So, and aside from the prediction of hopefully getting out of the hotel safely in time for
predict I better leave or I'm going to miss my flight.
Exactly. So, Andrew, it's been a fabulous
always a pleasure.
Spend time together. I'm losing my voice now. I love what you're doing in terms of your leadership, and really this conversation is so interesting from the standpoint of translating your experience of trying to merge two companies, which I've been part of in a couple of different, in for-profit and not-for-profit, when I was on the board of a not-for-profit. It's not for the faint of heart, but your insights about the culture and going and having conversations with people and aggregating and synthesizing insights about what do I have now, where do I want to go, how am I going to get there, and then being a really consistent communicator. I think that's held up on a higher platform even than those product solutions.
I agree.
Product solutions kind of come and go, but I really applaud your leadership and the leadership you're bringing to the industry. We're so happy, and I'm so happy to have you on the board of the Advertising Research Foundation, and really thrilled that we could spend some time together.
Well, thank you. Your friendship and your support have been tremendous for us in the last couple of years as we've gotten to know each other. So, and I appreciate the opportunity. It's great.
Thank you.